Fifth grade, chapter 5, lesson 7. Write zeros in the dividend. When do you write a zero in the dividend to find a quotient? When decimals are divided, the dividend may not have enough digits for you to complete the division. In these cases, you can write zeros to the right of the last digit. Because basically, if you're writing zeros to the right of the last digit, all it's doing is holding a spot. It's not changing the value, right? Unlock the problem. The equivalent fractions show that writing zeros to the right of a decimal does not change the value. So 90 and 8/10 equals 90 and 80 hundredths. They equal the exact same thing, right? During a fundraising event, Adrian rode his bicycle 45 and 8/10 miles in 4 hours. Find the speed in miles per hour by dividing the distance by the time. So basically they said they rounded 45 and 8/10 to 44, and then they still kept 4. So 44 divided by 4 is 11. Now it says write the decimal point in the quotient above the decimal point in the dividend. So basically what they did was they brought the decimal point straight up, which we've already talked about that before, right? So now they want us to divide the tens, ones, and tenths. So I'm going to bring the decimal straight up. So now how many times does 4 go into 4? Once. 4 times 4 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. Bring down my 5. 4 into 5 is once. 1 times 4 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. Bring down my 8. 4 into 18 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 18 minus 16 is 2. Now, we don't have anything else to bring down, right, guys? Okay, and like yesterday, I was talking to you guys about how basically in any of your problems, you're not going to have anything left over. But in this case, you do have something left over, right? So we can't just leave that 2 hanging out down there. We have to do something with it, all right? So let's look over here. So let's go ahead, bring our decimal straight up, and then we're going to write 1, 1, 4, because that's the point we've gotten to so far, right? And then we said 18 minus 16 was 2. And now, since we can't leave that 2 hanging out by itself, they put a 0 over here, and now we're going to drop the 0 down. So how many times does 4 go into 20? 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. And then do I have anything left over? No. Now, if I did have some more left over, I'd have to drop down another 0, right? But you can't just drop it down. You have to put it up here underneath the house in the dividend spot. Okay? So, Adrian's speed was 11,450 miles per hour. When you divide whole numbers, you can show the amount that is left over by writing a remainder or a fraction. By writing zeros in the dividend, you can also show that amount as a decimal. Write zeros in the dividend. Divide 372 divided by 15. And divide until you have an amount less than the divisor left over. Insert a decimal point and a 0 at the end of the dividend. Place a decimal point in the quotient above the decimal point in the dividend and continue dividing. So, they said that 15 could go into 37 twice. But first of all, they should have brought their decimal straight up, right? Because they didn't have to move it over any. So they said it could go in there twice. 15 times 2 is 30. 37 minus 30 is 7. And then they brought down their 2. They said 15 can go into 72 4 times. So that was 60. 4 times 15 was 60. 72 minus 60 is what? 12. And then, can 15 go into 12? No. So they had to add a 0, and then they're going to now bring it down. How many times does 15 go into 120? 6. 8 times. So 8 times 15 is? 120. And then do we have anything left over? No. So 372 divided by 15 is? 24. 78 ounces of rice. She puts an equal amount of rice in each of 12 bags. What amount of rice does she put in each bag? Explain how you could write the answer using the decimal. So we would take what? We would take
12 times 6.
78 divided by 12. 12 can go into 78. How many times? Fully.
6 times.
Go into 78. 6 times with how much left over?
6.
6 left over. We would need to bring down a what? 0 and 12 can go into 60. How many times? 5 times. Our answer would be what, guys? 6 and 5 tenths. Try this. Divide, write a 0 at the end of the dividend as needed. So they want us to divide 1 and 23 hundredths divided by 6 hundredths. But yesterday we learned it's a lot easier to divide by whole numbers, right? Okay, so over here, they moved the decimal over 2 spots, and then what they did in the divisor, they had to do in the dividend, okay? So now they decided they were going to do 123 divided by 6. So they automatically moved their decimal straight up, and then they said 6 can go into 12 twice. 2 times 6 was 12, so 12 minus 12 is 0, and then they brought down their 3, and then they said 6 could not go into 3, so they put a 0 up here. 0 times 6 was 0. 3 minus 0 is 3, and then they had to add a 0 and bring it down. So 6 goes into 30. 5 times 6 times 30, or 6 times 5 is 30. 30 minus 30 is
0.
So our answer is
20 and 5.
Okay. The next one, they had 10 divided by 8 tenths. Now, they have 8 tenths, but we want a whole number, right? So they moved the decimal over 1 spot. Now, yes, we didn't have any decimals with the 10, but they went ahead and moved it over 1 time as well. Okay? So, even though you maybe don't have the decimals over there, you can still move it over to the right, correct? Okay. So, basically, now we're dividing 100 by 8. So, 8 goes into 10. Yep, bring our decimal straight up. 8 into 10, how many times? 1 time. 1 times 8 is
8.
10 minus 8 is 2. And bring down your
0.
8 into 20. 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. Now, can I just leave that 4 hanging out? No. I have to add a 0 up here in my dividend, and then I need to bring it down. So, now 8 into 40 is 5. 8 times 5 is
40.
40 minus 40 is
0.
So my answer is
12 and 5 tenths.
12 and 5 tenths. Sharing showed, write the quotient with the decimal point placed correctly. So 5 divided by 8 tenths equals 625. Somewhere in there we need a decimal. So we're going to put 5 in our house. We're going to put 8 tenths over here to the side. Now, how many places do we need to do that decimal over? Once. So we'd have it right here and move it once. It'd already be right here, and we need to move it once over. So now our decimal goes up here. So then we would start putting 8 into 50, right? How many times does it go in there? The 6, right? So our decimal goes 6 and 25 hundredths. Okay, down here we'd have 26 and 1/10 divided by 6. Do we have to move the decimal in this case, guys? No. So our decimal would go straight up, and then we would say 6 goes into 26. How many times? 4. And then we'd start working it out. So where does our decimal go? In between the 4 and the 3. So it would be 4 and 35 hundredths. Over here would have been 6 and 25 hundredths. Okay, then I would write 4,200 divided by 35 hundredths. How many places do I move the decimal over? Twice. So what I do here, I do over here. Now, how many times did I go straight up with my decimal, right? How many times does 35 go into 42? Once. So my answer is 1 and 2/10. Yes, technically we can work out the rest of the problem, but we're just trying to figure out where the decimal goes, right? Then I have 80 divided by 50. So do I need to move decimals? No, it's going to go straight up. So 50 goes into 80 one time. So my answer is going to be
1 and 6.
1 and 6/10. 32 and 6/10 divided by 4. So do we need to move any decimals?
No.
Nope, we need to go straight up. How many times does 4 go into 38 or 32?
8 times.
8 times. 8 times 4 is
32.
32. And then I need to bring down my 6. So 4 into 6 is 1. 1 times 4 is
4.
6 minus 4 is
2.
Now, can I just leave that 2 hanging out there?
No.
No, I need to add another 0 in my dividend and then bring it
Down.
down. 4 into 20 is
5.
5 times 4 is
20.
is there anything left over?
No.
So my answer is
8 and 5. 8 and 5. 15.
8 and 1500. 9 divided by 1 and 2/10. So do I need to move my decimal over?
Yes.
Yes, one place. So what I do over here, I do under my dividend. So I need to add a 0 and bring my decimal up, right? So how many times does 12 go into 90 without going over?
8. 7.
7 times. What is 7 times 12?
84.
84. So 90 minus 84 is 6. Now can I leave that 6 hanging out?
No.
Nope. I have to add another 0 to my dividend, and then I need to bring it down. 60 divided by 12 is
5.
5. 5 times 12 is 60. And so my answer is 7 and 5/10.